Boxed up memories of a mysterious man. Joanne's father was a NASA scientist, a renowned pharmacologist and advisor to the World Health Organization. But Michael Briggs's career was a sham, and it's taken his daughter to expose it.
It says PhD thesis 1959, M.H. Briggs is my father.
It's not a PhD.
It's not a PhD.
So he's bound this
So
himself.
it's been rebound.
Recently, Joanne ran checks on his qualifications, discovering both his PhD and science doctorate were faked.
To make it so
Yeah.
you could put it on a shelf,
Yeah.
I just find fascinating evidence potentially of his personality.
Joanne always admired her father's astonishing career, even after he left the family when she was 7. But only recently did she realise he was a fraud and decided to write a book she called The Scientist Who Wasn't There.
He was involved in a series of fraudulent acts in order to pursue a career in science that he wanted for some reason.
Joanne's revelations matter because in the early 1980s, Professor Briggs was a key expert witness against families who claimed that their children had been damaged in the womb by the hormone pregnancy test Primodos.
The collapse of the trial has been attributed to him by many people on the campaign side. He appeared to be an expert on a world stage, and an incomparable expert, really. So you couldn't ask for a better CV. But unfortunately, what was in his CV was largely of his own making.
In the late 1960s, Briggs was UK research director for Shearing Pharmaceuticals, who made Primodos during that time. His name is in correspondence with experts such as Dennis Cook, whose research showed a correlation between sales of Primodos and malformations in newborns in the population. Briggs didn't act on this. In the late 1980s, Sunday Times journalist Brian Deere accused Briggs of fabricating research for Shearing and another company relating to the safety of the contraceptive pill.
He was essentially, in those days of typewriters, essentially sitting there and thinking of what the data ought to be and typing it into tables and sending it off to medical journals to publish.
Professor Briggs died shortly after the article was published. But what of his work? In 2017, a government-ordered review into Primodos was published. 28 animal studies from the 1960s and 70s were provided by manufacturer Shearing, some of them prepared when Briggs was the company's UK research director, and some done in preparation for litigation when he was a key witness.
They, to me, have hallmark characteristics of his turn of phrase, actually, if you read them. So there are research papers there that were actually produced by my dad, and they were relied on by the expert working group as part and parcel of their conclusion.
Campaigners say the expert working group's report has been crucial in blocking further legal action against the manufacturer and the government. Joanne hopes her revelations could lead to a rethink about the evidence.
I think this story about a man in the centre of this who happens to be a fabricated person, a hollow man, who has been relied on to such an extent for his expertise, that doesn't strike me as irrelevant.
Primodos has long been off the market. Manufacturer Bayer now owns Shearing and says considerable scientific research shows there is no causal relationship between the use of Primodos and an increased incidence of congenital anomalies. While the UK regulator, the MHRA, told us it would review any new scientific data. But the manufacturer hasn't told us whether any studies by this serial faker were used to argue that the drug was safe. Jason Farrell, Sky News.